Sheridan Computers, IT, Communications, Support.
It's Wednesday and it's that time again. If you've not followed me before, every Wednesday I do a live stream where we discuss what's going on in the world of IT and cybersecurity over the previous week. So we'll discuss everything up until the previous stream, which was last Wednesday, so that would have been the 19th. So we're on Wednesday the 26th and we'll have a look what's been going on over the last week. What have we got up first? Let me transition this in. Okay, first in the news, GB hackers on security. And we've got Mac with us. Hi buddy, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. Excuse me. Got a bit of a croaky throat. So, MoveIt file transfer tool has yet another critical vulnerability found in it, which basically lets hackers gain file access. So yet another critical vulnerability, CVE 2024-5806, has been identified in MoveIt Transfer, a widely used managed file transfer software. And similar to the previous vulnerabilities with MoveIt, poses a significant risk to organizations for the secure data transfers. The vulnerability is rooted in proper implementation of valid user-supplied input during the authentication progress, and it can be exploited by sending a specially crafted request to the MoveIt transfer server, bypassing authentication checks and gaining admin access. So, again, this is pretty much as bad as the previous ones that was from a month or two ago. So versions 2023.00, 2023.010, 2023.10 to 2023.1.5, and 2024.00 to 2024.01. So Progress, the vendor for MoveIt, are basically telling everyone to upgrade immediately to the latest patched versions. So MoveIt 2023 0.11, MoveIt 2023 0.1.6, and MoveIt Transfer 2024.0.2. So that's pretty bad, about as bad as you can get once again. Just going to quickly try and run through these vulnerabilities because there's a few of them. We've got over 110,000 websites affected by hijacked polyfill supply chain attack. And this is... I can't get on anyway, it's blocked. So Google has taken steps for ads-free commerce sites that use polyfill.io service after a Chinese company acquired the domain and modified the JavaScript library polyfill.js to redirect malicious users to scam sites. So there's more than 110,000 sites that use this library that are impacted by this supply chain attack. So this is covered on the Hacker News, and again, as I've started doing each week, I'll leave my notes there on the forums and the full links to everything, so you've got these. So Polyfill is a popular library that incorporates support for modern functions in web browsers. So it helps to make sure that all web browsers support websites and things. It's quite common. So the findings follow an advisory about a critical security flaw impacting Adobe Commerce and Magento websites with a serious CVSS score of 9.8. That continues to remain largely unpatched since June the 11th, 2024. In itself, it allows anyone to read private files such as those with passwords, which codename exploit Cosmic Sting. However, combined with the recent Icon V bug in Linux, it turns into a security nightmare of code execution. So yeah, if you're using that, then take your website down and find something else. Staying with supply chain attacks. It's only fair that we bring WordPress into it. So plugins on WordPress.org are backdoored in supply chain attack. So a threat actor modified the source code of at least 5 plugins hosted on WordPress.org to include malicious PHP scripts that create new accounts with admin privilege on websites running them. So this was discovered by WordFence. If you're running WordPress, it's worth installing WordFence for at least one form of security. So patches have been released on the plugins that have been installed on more than 35,000 websites. We've got Social Warfare plugin, Blaze widget, Wrapper link element, Contact Form 7 multi-step add-on, that's a common one, and Simply Show hooks. So there's no VIX available yet for Simply Show hooks, so I'd disable that plugin if you've got it installed on WordPress. With regards to these other 4, just go into your plugins on WordPress and run update and update them all. I say I'll leave the links to these so you can find the indicators of compromise and things like that. Sticking with WordPress. On the Hacker News, new credit card skimmer targets WordPress, Magento, and OpenCart sites. Called Caesar Cipher Skimmer. So, according to Security, the latest campaign entails making malicious modifications to the checkout PHP file association within the WooCommerce plugin for WordPress, form checkout.php to steal credit card details. It's similar to this, so it's presumed that all the website had been compromised through other means to stage a PHP script that goes by the name of style.css and css.php. Obviously, it's trying to evade detection. Again, you'll want to check that. So the form checkout PHP in WooCommerce is not the only method used to deploy the skimmer. The attackers have also spotted misusing the legitimate WP code plugin to inject it into website database. On websites that use Magento, the JavaScript injections are performed on database tables such as core config data. It's not currently known how this is accomplished on the OpenCart sites. So you need to make sure your plugins are up to date and obviously check for the presence of any dodgy looking accounts. There's a few to go through this week. Let me get some of these out of the way. Similarly, PrestaShop. So the PrestaShop website is under injection attack via its Facebook module. And this is SQL injection. So critical vulnerability has been discovered in the Facebook module PK Facebook for PrestaShop. CVE 2024-36680 allows a guest to perform SQL injection attacks. What we got? Obviously, if you can do SQL injection, then you can get access to the database quite easily. So upgrade to the latest version of the PK Facebook module, and then you'll want to check for any dodgy accounts and things like that. So this is pretty bad as well, like all SQL injection is. Next, we've got up Vultr. I have no idea why vendors do this. And as soon as I see it, the first thing I think is move away and stop using that vendor. But I used to use like Zyzol products and stuff with clients, and once it turned out that they had hard-coded products, hard-coded credentials, we just stopped using them and completely abandoned them. Even after doing all the certifications for them. So Vultr has issued a critical security advisory regarding a hard-coded password vulnerability in its file catalyst software, explicitly affecting the transfer agent component. So potentially enabling man-in-the-middle attacks. Impacts all versions of File Catalyst Direct up to and including 3.8.10 build 138 and all versions of File Catalyst Workflow up to and including 5.1.6 build 130. So you're going to want to get these patched. And then we've got a 7.8. So upgrade to File Catalyst, upgrade to 3.8.10 build 1.144 or higher. Workflow users upgrade to version 5.1.6, 1.33 or higher. Why people do that, I have absolutely zero idea. It's just you can't put backdoors in things and passwords in things, and people are not going to own them. Open some more of this stuff. We've got SolarWinds serve view vulnerability under active attack, so you need to patch this immediately. This is not the first time this has been exploited either. So it's actively being exploited, so there's proof of concepts out there. CVE 2024-28995 with a CVSS score of 8.6 is a directory traversal bug, obviously leading to being able to read sensitive files and things. So you'll want to get that patched immediately. The list of products acceptable are ServView FTP Server 15.4, ServView Gateway 15.4, ServView MFT Server 15.4, and ServView File Server 15.4. So if you're running that, something else you need to patch. I was 50-50 on whether to stick this one in here. Apple patches AirPod Bluetooth vulnerability that could allow eavesdropping. So when you're pairing AirPods to your device, if the previously known devices that they've been paired to, then that can be spoofed, leading them to connect. So Apple have released a firmware for AirPods that could allow malicious actors to gain access to the headphones in an unauthorized manner. So second generation later, AirPods Pro, all models, AirPods Max, Power Beats Pro, and Beats Fit Pro. So you'll want to check the firmware that's available. So when your headphones are seeking a connection, request to one of your previous paired devices, an attacker in Bluetooth range might be able to spoof the intended source device and gain access to your headphones. I was 50-50 on that, but I suppose it is a vulnerability, so if you're using Apple AirPods, update the firmware. I couldn't find any further details on this. So threat actor claims 0-day sandbox escape, remote code execution in Google Chrome. So this was reported by GB Hackers on Security. There's not much details on it. It's just somebody posted something. Operating system Windows 21H1, 21H2, and the price. So it's obviously raised some attention. People are just trying to figure out what it's all about at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on that. As always, if there's browser updates available, it's always handy to manually check for browser updates. In fact, I think Google is mentioned somewhere else here, so check them anyway. Researchers have released a proof of concept for Windows Bluetooth Service RC vulnerability. So this has already been patched. So if you've run the patch Tuesday from March, then it's patched, which that's from March. I'm always one for leaving patches if they're not critical for a couple of weeks to make sure they don't break anything, but this was addressed by Microsoft in March. And there was a similar one to the Wi-Fi driver thing. I can't remember if I covered that last week, but that was patched as well in June. We've got a new zip slip vulnerability that lets attackers execute arbitrary code via path traversal. What is this? Artifactory, the leading software repository manager, allowing attackers to execute arbitrary code through path traversals. JFrog's Artifactory. This is just like user misuse and things, but it's still there, so. Patch it. I'm not so familiar with that. Yeah, this is a popular tool, and I've seen a lot of people using it. The Alarm AI infrastructure tool. So I was going to do a demo on this, on how to install it. I know a few people already have. So cybersecurity researchers have detailed a now patched security flaw affecting the Alarm open source artificial intelligence AI platform that could be exploited to achieve remote code execution. So CVE 2024-37032. Where's the details of this vulnerability? So Alarm, if you've not used it, is used for basically deploying local large language models locally on Windows, Linux, or Mac. I've seen a lot of people doing it on Linux, and if it uses Docker, then that's an even bigger risk, I think. So its core, the issue relates to a case of insufficient input validation that inputs to file path traversal. So again, revealing sensitive information. And it specifically takes advantage of the API endpoint API/pull, which is used to download a model from the registry or from a private repository to provide a malicious model manifest file that contains path traversal payload in the digest. What else we got? So it is reduced to an extent in the default Linux install due to the fact that the API binds to localhost. As mentioned, there's a mention of Docker. If using Docker deployments, the API is exposed because by default it listens on 0000, so it listens on all interfaces. So if you're running that, you'll want to check it. It was addressed in version 2.5.0, and it's got the most severe. It's got a 10.0. An SQL injection flaw. Could allow attackers to download files from host system. We don't get many 10s. That's a perfect 10. Microsoft Power BI vulnerability. Okay. This is... Microsoft has said it's not a vulnerability, it's a feature. And there's a way of pulling reports and querying data in Power BI. I suppose you should be aware of it if you're using Power BI. It is popular for companies. So an attacker can exploit Power BI reports to access hidden data while removing filters and aggregations in visuals is simple. Adding unseen data requires knowledge of the data structure and the schema. So you can pull reports, but you need to know what the schema of the data is. If you're on Power BI and you're a company and you want to look more into this, I'll leave the link on the forums. It'll be on the description when we're done. Hey, Zeisel. What did I just say about these? We stopped using these because it was hard coding backdoors into things. Zeisel NAS devices, these are end of life. I think. So a new vulnerability, CV 2024-29973, discovered in Zeisel NAS devices. So there's code already out there, Python code. So it's due to one of the SIMZish endpoint of Zeisel NAS devices web server. So the endpoint introduced during a patch for a previous vulnerability, CV 2023-27992, inadvertently replicated the same security mistakes. So Zyzel have been made aware of it. Here's the tweet. We've started observing Zyzel NAS CV 2024-29973 RC exploit attempts by a Murray-like botnet. Zyzel has released patches for this and other vulnerabilities, though affected products are end of life. Is that it for that? I hope so. So under things people are doing to get you to do things, I've covered this a few times. Beware of shorting URLs with Word files that install Remcos wrap, remote access Trojan. Similarly with the MMC scripts that people are sending, LNK links. If you use shortened URLs, you can't read what they are. There is a website called unshorten.it, which you can paste a link into and it will unshorten it and show you where it goes. And then obviously you can load that link into VirusTotal. So I'm not going to dive into these. I do it literally every week. But yeah, unshorten.it. Let me stick that in the chat. If we go there, you can unshorten any shortened URLs, whether they're bit.ly, whether they're my URLs, because I shorten URLs with our own URL shortener. I'll just unravel them for you. There's new adware, so this is people taking out adverts and things on Google for people searching for MetaQuest app for Windows. There's the details. This software steals screenshots from internet users and manipulates their browser activity to generate income through advertising. So if you're Googling this app, MetaQuest app for Windows, make sure you've got it from the genuine place. And if you've already downloaded it and installed it, double check that you've got it from the genuine place. So you can see I've got the Google ad up here. The infection chain starts with downloading a zip file that contains batch scripts that affect additional malicious components. Pretty much typical stuff. Then we can see what it's reaching out to. So yeah, recommendations. Deploy EDR. Make sure you just download things from legitimate sources. Some breaches that come into the news. Any.rum, if you follow me, you will definitely have heard of these. In fact, I've got a video coming up on how you can check for malicious URLs and stuff using any.rum. So any.rum cyber attack, employee email address hacked. So they're a leading cybersecurity company. If you're not familiar with any.rum, I've shown this a few times. You can upload files, URLs, and it will run through them and see if it infects a machine for you in a safe sandboxed environment. So one of the employees has been tricked into clicking on something. So I've had this a few times, in all fairness, where a supplier or known good email is being compromised, and that's contained a malicious link. I had somebody send a QR code from a compromised account to one of our clients, and they even scanned the QR code. I was like, wow. So in a critical misstep, the employee entered their actual login credentials and multi-factor MFA code into a fake login form while testing the link in a sandbox environment. This granted the attacker initial access to the employee's account on May the 27th. Once inside, the attacker registered their own mobile device for MFA, ensuring continued access to the compromised account. Over the next 23 days, the unauthorized enter repeatedly accessed the employee's mailbox. On June the 5th, the attacker escalated their activities by installing Perfect Data software. That's an application that can create a complete mailbox backup. And we've got how the phishing campaign unfolds. We've got indications of compromise. We've got Mac saying a lot of the products you're covering today I've not seen or heard of before. A couple of the usual offenders, but yeah, so much technology out there. Yeah, so I've definitely covered this before. Yeah. It happens. Unfortunately. There's no way of blocking it 100%, even with phishing training and things like that. What else we got? Levi data breach. 72,000 plus customer data exposed. Yeah, so Levi's had breached on 13th of June. Compromised data includes personal identifiers such as names. I don't think we've got much more detail on that. So I'll leave the links to this below if you'd want to read up on that. National Cybersecurity Centre statement following reports of a Synovis data breach. Not sure who these are, to be honest. The National Cybersecurity Centre, part of GCHQ, is aware that a cybercriminal group has published data which it claims belongs to Synovis, a provider of pathology services to the NHS. Okay, so that's why that's a thing. This follows a ransomware incident which Synovis fell victim to earlier this month, 3rd of June. Investigations are still ongoing. To determine whether the published data was extracted from Synovis, and if so, whether the contents relate to NHS patients. Again, the link's below if you want to read furthermore on that. It doesn't actually say what data, does it? Lockbit claims a massive breach of the United States Federal Reserve System. 33 terabytes of juicy banking information contain Americans' banking secrets. So the notorious ransomware group Lockbit has claimed to have breached the United States Federal Reserve Systems, exfiltrating 33 terabytes of sensitive data. That's a lot. How can nobody notice that amount of data leaking over the internet? So we've got Americans' banking secrets and information about Federal Reserve money distribution. The group has issued an ultimatum demanding that the Federal Reserve hurry and negotiate within 48 hours and fire the current one. They despairingly called the current one a clinical idiot for allegedly valuing Americans' bank secrets at only $50,000. Wow. The claim comes from recent allegations against Lockbit by law enforcement agencies. In February, the FBI and other agencies disrupted Lockbit's online infrastructure through the group, though the group has since resumed operations. Mark, Federal Reserve, love to see what's in that data. Yeah. It doesn't. Obviously, we've not got the details here. So additionally, in May 2024, the UK's National Crime Agency revealed that the alleged identity of Lockbit leader, Russian national Dmitry Koroshev. The US government currently offers a $10 million reward for information leading to his arrest or conviction. We'll keep an eye on that story. Maybe there'll be more in the coming weeks. That's certainly an interesting one. 33 terabytes of data. Deadline 25th of June. I have to check that to see if there's any updates on it. What else did we get? Okay, here's one for Firefox on latest hacker news. Mozilla Firefox now requires device lock to access stored passwords. Suspicious the number of terabytes. 33 terabytes of data. That's just obviously massive. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find some more information on that, because it was 25th. Oh, it was only yesterday. So Firefox now requires device lock to access stored passwords. So normally, if you've got don't save passwords in your browser, use a password manager. But the latest Firefox update requires users to authenticate browser access with the device lock to access store passwords, offering additional security. So normally, if you store your passwords in a browser, you just stick a password in to retrieve them. Some do create passwords for you, but starting in Firefox 1.2.7, the browsers will require users to pass off device authentication before accessing browser store credentials. This won't be troublesome for the users who simply need to enter the system's security lock, a password or biometric scan according to the respective device. So improvements coming to Firefox to prevent access to your stored passwords. Still, don't store them there. Open ChatGPT is now available on Mac for all users, without a subscription, I believe. So, yeah, the official ChatGPT app for macOS is now available to all users for the first time, provided they're running macOS Sonoma or later. That just basically allows you to pull up a chat and search from anywhere on Mac. So if you're using Mac, that's something you might want to look at. Firetail has provided free access to its cutting-edge API security platform. So if you use any form of API, then Firetail's API security, and it was paid only, and now they've opened up a free app. So links to that will be below if you're interested in, if you write APIs or websites for APIs for websites or any other web application, it's worth looking at. Firefox starts letting you use AI chatbots in the sidebar. If you want to, I suppose you can. This is Firefox, isn't it? 'Cause I know Google's done the same thing. So Mozilla is looking to bring more AI features into Firefox and experiment on the light. So the organization's latest effort is an experimental one for the nightly build of the browser. Starting this week, you'll be able to add ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Hugging Chat, or the Chat Mistral to the sidebar. So you can highlight some text, right-click it, and ask whichever bot you prefer to summarize the information. And similarly, Google's doing the same thing. So, as you can see, Gemini in this post on the right-hand side, which is exactly the same thing, basically. Is there a screenshot of this? No. Oh, they're mentioning Google in there as well. So both Google browsers and Firefox bring in ChatGPT to your sidebar. iPhone mirroring is now available for developers to try. So Apple's newest developer betas for iOS 18 and macOS include more of the features announced last month, during WWDC. Got the picture there, so you can see your iPhone being mirrored to your Mac. If that's something you want to take a look at, I don't use iPhones or Macs, so while mirroring to your Mac, your iPhone stays locked. However, if you're using standby while mirroring, what's shown on your iPhone screen will stay on the iPhone screen as you browse your iPhone from your Mac. Alright. The new SharePlay features let you draw on another person's screen or control the screen. If you want to try the developer's feature yourself, go check it out. Added details about the new. Never mind. I've got this on the noteworthy. Amazon Prime Day. If you weren't sure when that is, it's 16th and 17th of July. So you're going to go and bag yourself some Amazon deals. That's the time you'll want to go and do it. Don't know why I threw that in there. On to further news. So if you go onto Google, this has done my head in for a long while. Where you type something in and obviously you used to be able to just go to like second page, third page or 10th page. Now you've got to keep scrolling unless you use the classic version, but now they're just killing that. So yeah, October 2021 it was brought in, and then over to desktop search results later in 2022. Now they're killing it. People prefer the speed, I guess. We've got EU finds Microsoft violated antitrust laws by bundling Teams. This is an old story. So Microsoft bundled Teams with everything. Was this 12 months ago? When was it? Last October. Microsoft unbundled Teams. They create the top pages. So yeah, it went back to 2020 where Slack started complaining that Microsoft was like monopoly and throwing Teams in with everything, so you couldn't use something else, and they was killing all the small competition off. And Microsoft unbundled it and then sold it separately, which made everyone complain. So that was kind of. I believe they've only just been found like guilty there. Staying with Microsoft doing stupid things. There's a page on Microsoft's website that told you how to create a local account, but now it looks like they want you to install Windows 11 with a Microsoft account, and they just remove the information from the website as if you can't. I'll do videos on this. It's easy to do. But you can use the Wayback Machine as well to still pull these details up. But Microsoft just removed the information from the website on how to install Windows 11 with a local account. But my camera just died. That's what happened there. Give me 1 second because we're dead. Video's gone. Guessing camera overheating. It is very, very warm. So yeah, Microsoft removed any information about how to use local accounts on Windows 11. I'm lucky that brings it to my last item, which was Google addressed numerous security flaws in 126. So as mentioned at the beginning, you might want to update your browsers. I think we're done here because looks like my camera needs a break. It's never turned off that quickly before. So thank you, Mac, for joining me. I will be back next week to cover more stories on IT news and cyber news. Same time, 19:30 GMT, Wednesday. Mac saying, always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Much appreciated.